Welcome to the Merlin Crypto Market update located on the X app. I'm Abs, the host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and today's episode features a replay from our Merlin X Spaces. Every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m., you can catch us live on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. We dive into captivating discussions about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology with our engaged audience, special guests, and the founders of Merlin. Please note, these spaces can sometimes experience technical hiccups and end suddenly. It's all part of the experience. Thanks for tuning into the Crypto Market Update, proudly brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto.
All righty. What's going on, family and friends? Happy hump day. Hope you're all having a wonderful day or night in your corner of the world right now. Welcome to this special X Space. My name is Ray Fuentes, and I'm thrilled to be moderating this exclusive session powered by Merlin. That's the go-to application for tracking all your crypto investments from one easy, intuitive application. Today, we're joined by Abs from the Good Morning Crypto. I also see, let me bring him up to speaker here. I got Johnny Crypto that's also in the stands. Let's bring him up to speak as well. We've also got the special guest in the room. That's Chris Calfoon, the ecosystem growth associate at Ava Labs. Let's bring him up on a stage as well. Invite to speak, Chris, that went your way. Also joining us is Johnny Crypto from the Good Morning Crypto Show as well. Today we're going to be discussing all things that are going on in the market, all things Ava Labs, since we got our special guest here in the stage as well. So that's going to be all things AVAX, all things tokenized, all things related to some very interesting and sought after partnerships, what I'm pretty sure Chris will get into deep in the weeds here shortly. But before we kick things over to Abs, the greatest host of any show, be sure to check out Merlin. That's the crypto app revolutionizing the way U.S. investors can track their crypto investments from one seamless dashboard. Now, with that being said, let's share and uncover some insights that can transform our crypto journey. But remember, none of this is financial advice. Over to you, Abs. Let's have some fun. Love you mucho.
Thank you so much, Ray. And none of this is financial advice, but here's what's interesting, guys. AVAX is one of my favorite projects, so I'm super excited for this conversation. Just objectively speaking, Chainlink, AVAX, XRP, those are three of my favorite projects, and they have been for a very long time. So big thank you to Chris for making time for us. Johnny, I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to have Ray. This is going to be a great discussion, just great spaces. Before we kick it over to Chris for an introduction, Johnny, I'd love to give you a chance to say hello, and then we'll get right into this.
Well, let me just say good evening to all the crypto maniacs out there tonight. Love and appreciate you guys for showing up all the time. Abs, I'm excited too to be here to be able to talk about our favorite topic, which is crypto, and to be able to have a special guest tonight from Ava Labs there. Chris, thank you for joining us. And Ray, of course, always do a great job kicking things off. I do want to say this, Abs, I am super excited because as the co-founder of Merlin, we just had a major release this week. We launched for the first time ever our app on the Google Play Store. And so any Android user, if you're an Android user, good news for you, you can now download the Merlin app live on the Google App Play Store. So it took some time, but we got it done. And our next focus will be to work on the Apple one. But we're excited. And I encourage everybody who already has the web app, go to the Google Play Store if you're an Android user and download it, because that will enable those mobile phone alerts, the precious mobile phone alerts when it's time to sell. If you want those, you need to download the app.
Johnny, last quick response here. Any plans for the Apple App Store? Quick thoughts.
Yes. Yeah. So the Apple Store was a lot harder. For everybody who might know, there was a historic land case that just finished this week. Epic Games just beat Apple in a lawsuit, and it's changing the way Apple handles the management of apps, and that had been slowing us down and had really put a hindrance on our ability to launch at apps. The good news is now with that lawsuit completed and Apple losing, they have to treat us a lot better along with all the other suppliers. So we have begun the development of it. I don't have a time frame yet on when we're going to launch it, but it will be a lot quicker than it was to launch the Google one, which took us about 6 months. I'm anticipating hopefully in the next, I don't even want to give a time frame, Abs, but I can tell you we are working on it and we will try to get it out there probably within the next 1 to 2 months.
Exciting moves coming out of Merlin, led by our friend Johnny Crypto, guys. So big shout out to Johnny Crypto. But Chris, I want to dive right into this discussion. First of all, thank you for being here. This is going to be awesome. We have a ton of exciting stuff to talk about. And the AVAX ecosystem, I believe, is one of the most underrated ecosystems right now. Super strong community, great leadership, great technology. And when you think about being able to do what Ethereum does, but just better, that's where AVAX for me enters the conversation. But as somebody who's working behind the scenes, I'd love to hear your outlook. Like, how do you feel about AVAX, where we are in 2025, and many of the new developments, such as like tokenized assets, actually being implemented here? Floor is yours, my friend, and thank you for being here, Chris.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? I think you can.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Awesome. Thank you for having me, Ray. Thank you so much. Calling in from Los Angeles over here. Quick funny story. I ran into Ray in the airport, and this is how this kind of happened coming back from Dubai. So it's funny how things happen. But yeah, love to introduce Avalanche to all the viewers who may not know, what we're doing over here. We're EVM compatible. We're any VM compatible. Anyone can come in and build their application, whether it's on the public seed chain, whether they want to launch their own L1, whether they need proof of authority, which is just a permissioned L1, or a public permissionless L1 if you kind of want to have anyone just tap into your L1. More importantly, we're focused on institutional use cases and government adoption, especially with today's news. Avalanche kind of set it up as a way for governments to adopt this technology because they can have their own sovereign block space, which basically means they can scale it to however they need. And basically what that means is if you're a government, you can adopt the blockchain. You can use your own L1 powered by Avalanche however you want it. And the only thing that stays the same across all L1s is the consensus mechanism, which is very fast, as we all know. And I'd like to also give you a background on what I do here at Avalanche. A big part of my role is being on the front lines with teams building on or exploring Avalanche, kind of being the middleman to put them in the right place, to get them the resources, infrastructure, whatever it may take for them to kind of know how to navigate it, because it can be very complicated, right? If you're new to a blockchain, if you're new to an ecosystem, you're like, where the heck do I even start? So part of my job is making sure that builders kind of get what they need to bootstrap to get started. I know we're going to go over things like gaming. We're going to talk about builder onboarding a little bit more. I'd love to talk about regulation and tokenized assets. And I'd love to also mention to you guys briefly our summit coming up in 2 weeks. That's going to be a huge event.
Real quick, before I pass the mic back over to Abs over here, or Johnny, whoever wants to pick it up when it's hot. And great to hear from you, Chris. Wonderful to brush elbows with you. It's beautiful how the universe works. May it have been on the back end or the heels of Token 2049 Dubai. Regardless, we came together, and that's most important. Like Abs mentioned, I'm personally a big fan of Avalanche. I've had the opportunity to interview Emin, the CEO, who's a brilliant and decorated professor from, I believe, is it Columbia, or University,
Cornell.
Cornell, excuse me, one of the C's. Regardless, though, I very decorated team, and so you being at the helm as as the chief growth associate, I think this just explains how the caliber of you as well. So this is a very exclusive and wonderful opportunity to have you, Chris. Question: you mentioned briefly the partnerships, the governmental partnerships. Do you find them those partnerships, or do they find you? How does that dance work?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm gonna keep it very high level because we have a killer institutional team. I know you spoke with Olivia a couple weeks ago. I know a big part of what we do as well is having presence, kind of in the DC area. Our president was out there a few weeks ago to really educate lawmakers and Congress, kind of the importance of stablecoin adoption, blockchain adoption in the government. You know, some of these guys, I don't want to speak for everyone. Just kind of want to put it out there that lots of education might be needed in this space. It's a growing space. It's always evolving. New things are always coming out. So it's always good to kind of put in front of these entities what they can do, how they can change old systems, out with the old, in with the new. In terms of, how do we hunt, who comes to who, it's just, making those partnerships, kind of being present on Wall Street. It's really important to make those relationships and letting people know that, hey, we're here to help whatever you may need. Feel free to reach out. We're an ecosystem that works hand in hand, right? We're not here to ignore people. We're here to always follow up, always make sure that whoever it may be, whether you're a small team, whether you're a government, that you get the support that you need.
Appreciate the thoughtful response, Chris. Over to you, Abs. Let's take advantage of this time and ask some pressing questions. Don't hold back.
Chris, I want to get started on something a little bit lighthearted. So me and Johnny are big on gaming, and you guys obviously had a super successful launch. I believe that I'm calling it you guys because of AVAX, but I believe that the video game, which the name is slipping me now, I got to do my research here. It passed Fortnite on the Xbox store, if I'm remembering correct, Chris. Can you correct me on that?
I'm not too sure about that statistic, but I know if you're talking about Off the Grid,
Yes.
the game that's yes, it's cross-platform, Xbox, PlayStation, PC. It's on the Epic Game Store. I think it was something along the lines of 11 million players. So maybe the statistic you're referring to is maybe like a daily or a weekly or a monthly statistic, which makes sense because at one point on Twitch there was 150,000 viewers in that category, which is amazing. We had Shroud playing it. We had I forgot who. I know Shroud for sure. I forgot if it was XQC who was playing it. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it was really well exposed. It's a triple A game studio. They're killing it. They have their own L1. They have their own token. Players seamlessly are interacting with the blockchain without them even knowing. You download the game on Xbox, on PlayStation, you're using blockchain. You're playing a triple A game. It's unheard of. It's unprecedented, and hopefully this kind of sets the tone for AAA game studios who want to build, who want to adopt a solution that can make things faster, seamless, more inexpensive for your infrastructure. So yeah, it's great. And I'd also like to give a shout out as well. Maple Story L1 blockchain goes live May 15. The free mint started yesterday, and we had 350,000 mints in less than 24 hours. That was absolutely crazy. So Maple Story game been around for over 20 years. It's millions of players till today. They're also going to start adopting blockchain seamlessly without them even knowing. So your cousins who are playing Maple Story still, they're going to be using Avalanche and they don't even know what Avalanche is. So that's the goal, right? It's to kind of get everyone on board onto a fast blockchain that can handle all of these transactions, because it's not just buying and selling assets, right? You're not just buying and selling skins. Everything you're doing in the game is a transaction, and you need the architecture, the block space to support that, and they're killing it. And shout out to the Ava Cloud team as well. They've been helping them out as well.
Love the shout outs, Chris. Hey, quick question on the topic of off the grid. I had the opportunity to brush elbows with Boris from Morningstar Ventures, who has their headquarters based in Dubai. I interviewed him, actually pinned the video in the nest here. He mentioned that off the grid had 500,000 users already, and that and then he was proud to say that off the grid, which I believe they're a significant backer in, were leveraging the Avalanche blockchain. Do you mind? Could you discuss your relationship with Morningstar and how you may pursue other relationships similar to, if possible?
Yeah, I'm not too personally too kind of attached to that relationship, Morningstar. That's more of the gaming team, so I can't really give you any information on that. I'd be more than happy to point anyone to any resources that may be curious in that, but that's not something I've touched.
Got it. It's just well, coincidentally happened to interview. So if others want to learn more about off the grid, there is a video up in the nest. But uh, excellent, appreciate that. Back over to you, Abs. I just thought it was a small world to hear that Morningstar Ventures, which was a backer and off the grid, leveraging Avalanche because of its horizontal scalability. Maybe you can at least touch into the reasons why they would leverage Avalanche further on in this conversation. Back over to you, Abs. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ray. And Chris, a couple of things that stuck out to me. Number one, you said people are going to be using AVAX without ever even having to know what the currency is. Johnny, to me, that tells me we are entering utility. Now, I know we're early. We're probably 3 or 4 years away from mass adoption in any real way, shape, or form, because we're pre-regulation here. But when without even having to go through the learning curve, that speaks volumes. Now, the second thing, and the reason I brought it up, Chris, is because you sound like a younger guy, like maybe you're in your 20s or your 30s. I'm in my late 20s as well. I grew up playing video games. All of my friends still play video games. If there was a way to seamlessly earn income by playing, hypothetically, like the new GTA that they just released a trailer for yesterday, that is going to be like an inflection point that we've never seen before, not only for gaming, but for people like me who typically don't play video games, to maybe incentivize, like, okay, I'm going to try out this video game because it's built on AVAX and I own the token, right? So any quick thoughts there, and then we'll get into some government stuff?
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, you got it right. Late 20s, grew up playing video games. Most of the video games we play have an in-game economy, and I want to say a majority of them have a good sync in a way where there's no inflation. They control the economy. Whether the sync is to delete the items, to kind of pool the items together to make them into one big item. Um, that makes sense with blockchain, right? Instead of using an in-game currency that kind of is going towards inflation, why don't we make it a marketplace to where people can invest in rarer items, or maybe pool together more common items seamlessly, so they don't have to know that they're approving of these items on the blockchain. It's exactly as they're going about it. So for example, GTA, right? In GTA, the economy is huge. GTA Online, you buy apartments, you buy whatever it is. So in a sense, can we somehow pull this together to gamify it, but also to kind of have fun with it, right? We're not worried about the value. We're not worried about losing, hundreds of dollars. We're having fun. It's exactly as if you were playing the game. So yeah, definitely we're going to see more of that in the future.
And you know what I find fun about that? Like, a lot of people will say, well, most people aren't going to be able to earn an income off of gaming. That's not the idea here, guys. The idea is closer to gambling than it would be building a career. And I'm not promoting that in any way, shape, or form, Chris, but the reality is that people want to be able to make money. And if me and Johnny Crypto in one situation could play a game of FIFA for no money or play a game of FIFA and the winner gets one AVAX, I think we're going to play that AVAX game, right, Johnny Crypto? So what do you think?
What? The reality is we already play that FIFA game, and that really has been, Chris, why I've been a huge proponent and big. I believe gaming is going to be a huge use case for blockchains. There's an opportunity finally to allow people to own, in-game assets, as you talked about, create a whole entire marketplace in there. I mean, think about it. Kids, and I got to throw myself in this, spend so much time. You invest so much time and money and effort into a game, hours, thousands of hours. And yet when the game is over, when you're done, you walk away, you have nothing to show for it. And so that's where I think blockchain has an opportunity to transform the game, no pun intended there, to be able to create, like you said, a marketplace, a universe where kids can play. I mean, there will, listen, let's face it, there are very, very good gamers out there. People will make a living off of gaming at the expense of the people who just aren't good at it, and they'll give their money away. But it's going to be like pay to play, and that's fine. And, people do that anyway. And at least you get entertainment out of it. But to me, I think there's a huge opportunity. I've been a big proponent. AVAX is, one of my bigger bags of holdings because I believe in what they're doing and where they're going with the industry. The question is going to be how long. Abs likes to talk about utility, and I always kid with him because we're nowhere near full-blown utility. We're nowhere near that. We have a long way to go. And blockchains will be running in the background. Most humans won't even know what it is. They won't care. They'll never see it. Kind of like like TCP/IP and all the other protocols. They don't care, right? People just want it to work. But my question to you is, for all this adoption to happen and until everything to go, we really kind of need, and actually I would like to know from your perspective, how much is not having regulation passed yet holding you guys up from being able to get the whole world to run or adopt this technology and run in the background? Considering that right now we've had an anti crypto SEC, we still don't have any kind of regulation out of our Congress. And I'm just curious if that has kind of held you guys up from moving the ball forward.
That's a good question. I guess just to summarize everything really quick before we jump into specifics, it's we're playing the longer game here in the U.S. We're focusing on making sure that we're aligned with regulations as they come. Right, we want to make sure that we're on top of it, that we're flexible, whatever it may be. Whether that's building relationships with institutions or making sure that we're ready when the market matures. Every day we see something new coming out, and every day we're adapting to that compliance. Internationally, it's a little more open, right? So internationally, the strategy is a little bit more action oriented and more adoption driven. So, for example, Maple Story, it's funny, they actually moved their headquarters from Korea. They're in Abu Dhabi now. So it's been really, really, really good working with them. But yeah, in the US, it's about policy engagement. It's about credibility, right? It's about going to DC and advocating for the space, spending time with lawmakers, and making sure that we're really aligned. We're really educating who needs to be educated. Just being one step ahead of the game.
And how much would you say? I mean, that's a difficult challenge, right? You're trying to educate a bunch of old goats, no pun intended here, up in Congress who don't know nothing about this technology. And obviously, the lobbyists get involved, and it takes time, right, to spin the wheels of the system to get it to move to where we need to go. Of course, when we get there, I think there'll be tons of liquidity unleashed in this marketplace, but I don't think we're there yet. But I'm just curious, like from your perspective, how much you feel. You just said something, right? Like we need to comply with the current rules, and then as they adjust, you got to adjust. And then so my question is like, how much of that prevents you guys from even moving forward because you're afraid you might do something today and then the rules change on you tomorrow?
Good question. It's funny that you say that. It's because we're not siloed. We're not siloed into a single blockchain. We're not just one L1 with a bunch of L2s and L3s and L4s under us. We're very flexible. Our L1s are can adapt to compliance. You can have data localization. Your validators are very controlled. And you can have jurisdiction specific rule sets for wherever your block space is. So to answer your question in a nutshell is we're not siloed. It's really that simple.
And so that's good. Then you're saying that makes it easier for you guys to adapt as the rules, as Congress tries to figure out what the rules are of the road for this, for the future of blockchain.
100%.
That's good. And it sounds like you guys put yourself in a good position where you're not letting regulation kind of hold you up too much. You're still moving. Like you said, you're playing the long game. So let me ask you the real question that everybody wants to know, right? Everybody wants to know when, everybody thinks this is going to be utility bull run and we're in utility. And to me, it's like, no, the world is nowhere near running off a blockchain. It's going to take years, I think, to get there. But I'm curious of your opinion. How long do you think before the whole world is running, where everything's running on blockchains behind the scenes? I know it's
what a question.
I know it's a loaded question, but just give me your gut feel so we can help set some expectations and have people understand, for somebody in your space who understands technology, what you think before the whole world's running on blockchain.
Question. This is not financial advice. This is strictly, in my opinion, a nerd who likes blockchain, likes the tech. I think as we see the government slowly start adopting, everyone is going to be like, hey, this makes sense. Let's use it. Let's start moving around our money using stable coins. Let's, for example, Robinhood. They have their 24-hour trading. I don't know if you know this, but how does that 24-hour trading work during the weekend, right? The markets are closed. Well, they're moving the money around with stable coins, right? So if it's a 24-hour market, you make a purchase, you make a whatever it is. It automatically gets settled behind the scenes with stablecoins, and when the market reopens Monday morning, that's when it settles on fiat. So there you go. That's already a use case, and it's pretty chain agnostic. They're moving the stablecoins around on multiple chains. It's really interesting. And to really answer your question, I don't really have a set answer how many years. I would like to see sooner than later. I'd like my parents, my uncles, to be using this technology on all of their apps pretty soon, just because it makes sense. I guess, to as a friendly answer, I'm probably we'll see maybe 10 years from now where we're really like almost every app we're using is going to be adopting blockchain somehow. That's just a guess. That's a Hail Mary right there.
Yeah, but you're in a technical space, and that's kind of where I've been, somewhere, same with me, right? I've been saying, I get killed on the Good Morning Crypto show whenever I say it's 5 to 10 years away. It's like, oh my God, Johnny, you're crazy. The internet didn't exist back then. That's why it took so long. But the reality is, I know what it takes. I'm in the technology space too, and it takes a long time. So I'm not surprised to hear you say 10 years. And again, that's where we're talking the whole entire world. We'll be moving towards utility along that time. But yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate your perspective.
Quick comment here, Johnny, and I got kind of a follow-up question for Chris is, if a lot of these companies have been working on blockchain products for like the better half of a decade, I think a lot of these tech companies or even app developers were thinking about migrating their products onto blockchain starting right after COVID. That's when crypto really got that mass adoption from an institutional standpoint. We started to hear large companies like BlackRock and Goldman Sachs reference blockchain products a lot more after the COVID pandemic. And so my question to you is like, if we're in an environment maybe only 6 months from now where this asset class is regulated and people can start building and working on these products, why would it still take 5 or 10 years in order for us to see the majority of these applications adopt blockchain? Because here's my theory. Once we get just a couple of blockchain products being leveraged, hypothetically, like if GTA does what we had just talked about and has an ability to earn real income, well, that means any big competitor from that point forward is going to probably have the same thing. And so I think that's going to apply to gaming. I think it's going to apply to smart contracts. I think it's going to apply to just products and services that can be made cheaper, faster, better. So what are some of your thoughts on that? Because you said 10 years. Johnny often says 10 years. My hypothesis is that by the end of the Trump administration, so I'm talking maybe early 2029, I think we're going to be in a predominantly blockchain environment. But let me hear some of your thoughts on the contrary.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Yeah, like you said, we're seeing these big guys, big players: BlackRock, Apollo, Parify, Franklin Templeton. They're kind of upticking the tokenized assets, market, the money market funds, and those are all in Avalanche, by the way. So they're taking more of a B2B2C approach to kind of embed into these neobanks or these fintechs. So one example, OpenTrade, right? They enable these banks, like what was it? It was Lidio in Colombia. They offer their users access to USDC, and they can earn yield on that USDC. So that's one kind of, I guess that supports your thesis, right? That's going to be sooner than later. And then we have Denari, which is an SEC registered transfer agent, and they also take the B2B2C approach, and they bring tokenized US equities to global investors. So they're tapping into a market that's a little harder for the global reach to kind of tap into. So it's about the regulation, right? And maybe for better or worse, I don't know. This is just my opinion. Not Can't really say because everything's changing every day. That yeah, this administration can change the way that these institutions are offering their services globally. And when we're talking about whatever 4 or 5 years, 10 years, we're talking about global outreach. We're talking about how can we enable everyone in the world to tap into, whether it's money market funds in the US or banks in Colombia, earning yield on USDC, that's backed by the dollar, backed by gold, backed by whatever it is. So if we keep pushing for these institutions to tokenize their assets, then yes, it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Sorry, I got stuck on the mute button there, Chris. But I think it's so important because we're going to see those huge changes start this year. And I'm not sure if you follow this type of stuff because you're a developer, you're doing really important stuff. There's some political talks when it comes to cryptocurrency. And yesterday we had a Senate hearing or a congressional hearing that was ended that was supposed to be focused on cryptocurrencies. But Democratic leaders such as Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters and Elizabeth Warren said that they were not willing to discuss digital assets. So it's interesting because you look at Europe, they're adopting these assets. They're beginning to regulate it. They launched their MiCA regulations. You look at China, the banking sector in China is already using blockchain at scale. We cover these data points on Good Morning Crypto. For the first time ever on April 16th, the China central banking system, the CIPS system, did more transaction volume than SWIFT. So we're already seeing blockchain be used as a counterpart and better product to some of the things that exist today. And I just think that's going to happen in every capital market. It really is a matter of when, not if. So in many ways, I agree with you, Chris. In many ways, I agree with you as well, Johnny, that maybe it takes 10 years, maybe it takes 5, but the long-term view on these things, they improve existing products, and that's what it's all about. I do want to remind our listeners, guys, this space is sponsored by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. Johnny made a major announcement at the beginning of the episode. It is now available on the Android App Store. Now, of course, I'm part of the iPhone army. I got a little class over here, my friend. But shout out to the Android users. If you're an Android user, you can now find Merlin in the App Store. So take advantage of that. Johnny, what I wanted to shift this conversation into, as long as you're ready to wrap up that topic there, is what is the government going to really use blockchains for? And I'm looking through your website, Chris. You talk about the use cases and how you can exist or improve existing products. Why do you think the government would tap blockchain products, whether it's tokenizing assets, whether it's using it to transfer money cheaper, faster, better? What do you think is going to be that first mover for the government here when it comes to what you're seeing behind the scenes and what's being developed?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start off with the obvious. It's tamper-proof records, right? It's trust in the government. How can we make these transactions, these assets, immutable and more accessible? Also, it's just out with old technology. A lot of the things that we do take so much time, so much effort to for the average citizen to, you know, get whatever it is, get their documents verified. Um, California DMV, for example, has their own Avalanche L1 permission, proof of authority. 42 million car titles are on the Avalanche blockchain. So the whole purpose of that is, instead of going to the DMV, following up in 2 weeks, et cetera, et cetera, what they made was one super app for the California DMV where you can make changes, make requests, payments, whatever it is in the app, and you'll have someone, a representative or an employee from the California DMV, follow up with you in the app in one day. and that's it. It's that simple. Just because everything's on chain, everything is verifiable, everything is instant. Obviously, just because it's instant doesn't mean it's going to happen right away. We still need humans to verify everything is correct, right? We're not there yet in terms of AI agents, etc. That's a whole different topic that we can talk about for 3 hours. But also, the purpose of that is, okay, now we have the California DMV on their own Avalanche L1. It's like, okay, now we can have every state on their own Avalanche L1, and then we can transfer those titles horizontally through other blockchains. So that's an example.
What I find interesting, Chris, is that for a long time there was like this tribalism where people were either believing in one narrative or the other narrative. What we're realizing here, and I think we started to figure this out in 2023, is that tons of blockchains are going to have opportunities, like Chainlink as an aggregate, AVAX as you've described. We often talk about the XRPL maybe being a base layer for tokenizing assets or being used to send money cheaper, faster, better overseas. You have Bitcoin as a store of value. So from my own personal perspective, I'm tempted to ask you the question, why do you think AVAX is better than Ethereum, right? Because I believe that AVAX is a better product than Ethereum just from a technology standpoint. Why do you think people would choose to develop and build on AVAX as opposed to Ethereum, which is the largest altcoin right now?
That's a good question. It's funny. Basically, it's the access to the resources, and it's the access to whatever SDK, whatever VM, whatever application you want to build can be tailored for you, and you're not siloed into the Ethereum L1. You can access the liquidity on Avalanche however you want, and you can make your own token, and you can move that token around across EVM compatible chains however you want. That's the whole point. The whole point is that you're not stuck in an ecosystem where you can't do what you want to do. A government cannot build on Ethereum. It's that simple. They cannot have their own block space. They cannot have their own rules, their own they can't scale it. It's stuck. It's siloed. So that's why I'm more bullish, obviously, on Avalanche. It's the freedom that you get with your own block space.
That was a great answer. I was honestly just thinking about it from a technology perspective, but you make the great point. It's like a walled garden versus an open environment. Johnny, I want to give you a chance to comment, and then I can shift into our next topic.
Yeah, sorry, Abs. My phone went into the dark screen mode, but I think it's a great conversation, fascinating topic. So you say governments won't use ETH, but then I hear governments trying to hoard ETH. So I'm just curious, do you think it's going to be one of those things where because ETH had the first mover advantage, do you think they kind of already are in, have had the chance to have discussions with governments, or do you think as the technology evolves, governments are going to quickly realize that, yeah, you know what, ETH is a slow dog. It's really, it's already obsoleted. The thing's what, 15, 12 years old already. And do you think in the long run, we will see, the use of other chains and like, so example, there's things like, Link and Quant that want to bring interoperability, and then there'll be L2s that can run on top of ETH. So you still think, even though that's out there, ETH just has no chance to be a player in the game, in the space?
It's a good question, and I don't want to just always bring Ethereum down because they're still shipping out updates, right? I think
Right.
Pectra went live today. So I think the whole point of that was a big update on their storage. So I think it was L2 scaling storage went up 2x. So that's awesome. That's amazing for builders building on Ethereum. They can build much more efficient applications. Good for them. That's great to hear. Ever since they went from proof of work to proof of stake, they've been seeing a lot of more useful applications, a lot more cheaper applications. And yeah, like you said, they've kind of planted their name in the space. It's a more familiar name. They don't have to do any marketing, right? The name markets itself. It's easier to kind of point in the Ethereum direction, right? It's number 2 right behind Bitcoin. It always has been. I don't know if it always will be. I'm not one to say. But yeah, just like you said, it's just kind of there, and it's very easy to kind of build on top of if you're a developer, right? It's the EVM. It's what it's named after, the Ethereum virtual machine. Developers are more accustomed to it. It just doesn't have the compatibility that these newer chains have, and I don't think just by design it will never have the compatibility.
So, do you think, when I think about AVAX, and being in the gaming space or loving the gaming part, I always kind of thought of AVAX as more of a gaming platform or facilitating the adoption and growth of the gaming, blockchains in the gaming space. Is that kind of AVAX's main area? Or do you think they're gonna try to solve, tokenization, cross-border payment solutions? Where do you see AVAX, use
Yeah,
cases? And I guess, like, what do you think would be the primary? Let me rephrase it because it could be so many. What do you think would be the top 1, 2, or 3 use cases that AVAX makes the most sense
yeah,
for?
it's a really good question. So the issue is that just because you can have your own block space is we're not really stuck on one vertical. You Every single vertical is on Avalanche. Um, we have bounties, we have grants, we have hackathons for all of these use cases. We have a specialized grant program for people building AI applications. We have bounties for all the verticals. So when you have teams that are helping, that are assisting in these verticals, and you have ambassadors, and you have regional leads, international leads, whatever it is, um, we're not really stuck on one. However, like we said earlier in our conversation, that we really are planting our seed in terms of institutional and government adoption, just because we want to make sure that Avalanche is recognized as a legitimate professional company, right? It's not just that we're crypto, we're blockchain. We have we're a legit space, a legit platform for anyone to come and build on. We have AvaCloud, which is a BaaS, a blockchain as a service, for anyone who wants to pay for. If you're a big company, if you need the scalability, you can pay for that, and we have an amazing team to help you get started with that. And we also have recently, as of 2 months ago, encrypted ERC tokens, which is really unprecedented. You can have confidential transactions, private transactions that are fully auditable. So if you're a government that wants to move money around without it being disclosed anywhere, or if you want to have your payroll on blockchain, if you want to pay your employees without anyone knowing how much they're getting paid, that's possible with Avalanche. Not really possible anywhere else. And if you're a casino and you want to move money around, you can do that with encrypted ERC tokens, and it's fully auditable by governments, by police, by whoever it may be. If you're a casino in Brazil, you're audited by the police. So that full transparency. So yeah, to answer your question, it's not really about maybe top 1, 2, 3. It's about whoever wants to come build. We want to make sure that we can provide the resources for them and get them what they need.
Chris, quick question for you. So when we look at the market today, it's tokenized assets are at their infancy, right? And we see a lot of different projections, whether it's from financial service companies or it's from blockchain companies that are predicting that just in tokenized assets alone, we may see up to 10 to 12 trillion dollars worth of tokenized assets in the next 5 years. Now, feel free to rebuttal that with your own estimate, but we're also seeing people predict that the stablecoin market could be upwards of $3 trillion in the next 3 years as well. When you look at where AVAX may play a role in this whole thing, just being totally transparent, when I think of AVAX, I don't think of stablecoins necessarily. I do think of smart contracts and I do think of like improving products. But where do you see AVAX fitting in from a tokenized asset and a stablecoin perspective, considering those seem like the two most exciting markets over these next couple of years, I guess?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I know what you mean by, you don't really see AVAX as a stable coin chain. It makes sense. You have other players who are kind of tapping into this market. We do, however, have a lot of use cases for yields on stablecoin, and whether that's moving the stablecoins around. If you want to define them by volume, by TVL, whatever it is, that's fine. But we do have basically all of these kind of yield bearing assets available on Avalanche as if they're just as they are available on other chains as well. And I do think that that number that you mentioned, 3 trillion, I think it's going to be more than that. I think as we see regulation changing, as we see more institutions adopting stable coins, that a lot of this money is going to be moved around, and in a safe manner as well. You have Citibank, you have JP Morgan Onyx migrated onto their own Avalanche L1. So yeah, I would definitely be on the lookout for more of these institutions adopting this technology, moving stablecoins around, especially we have our Evergreen initiative, which helps institutions kind of get bootstrapped running using these stablecoins.
That's pretty exciting. Chris, I want to introduce you to my friend Gonzo. Now, Gonzo is a great friend of not only Merlin, but of the Good Morning Crypto Show. So, Gonzo, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How you feeling? And obviously, we're having a great conversation with Chris. Feel free to interject or include or ask him a question, whatever you'd like to do. Thanks for being here, Gonzo.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, everybody? Yeah, I'm kind of late to the party, but I was just listening to Chris talk, and I came in for the Ethereum conversation, and I'm assuming he's connected somewhere to Avalanche, but I like what he's saying. Like, it's funny because, you don't hear a lot of people talk about AVAX. I think they're just quietly just building in the background, especially since they did their upgrade. You could basically build your own layer one on that. And we talked about it on the show. You guys mentioned stablecoins, and I think it was the state of Wyoming that's basically picking AVAX to build their stablecoin. There was that other bank in Japan that was doing the same thing. So I think that they just sit there quietly and they just keep building. And those are the projects that you want to pay attention to, right? That just kind of put their heads down. Developers just keep building and pushing out products because those are the ones that are going to be here for the long haul. But thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I
nice
agree.
to meet you, Gonzo.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
Sorry about that. Chris, one of the things I did want to get your opinion on as well, and Gonzo kind of referenced this, right, is there any conversations with the United States government and AVAX being had? Because we see these connections with other blockchains. We got a Bitcoin bill. We got the Ethereum leadership. We've got the Ripple team meeting with Donald Trump. Maybe there's some things that we aren't privy to that you could enlighten us about. Like, is there any connections between the United States government and some of the building that's happening on AVAX? Gonzo just mentioned that Wyoming is going to be building their stable coin. So I think that's a connection in and of itself. But is there anything that maybe you'd want to make us aware of?
Yeah, it's a funny question. I cannot speak on that matter. However, like I said earlier, is that we do definitely have a presence where you want to see, your blockchain having presence on. And I also want to mention earlier that what Gonzo said is that, yeah, we had the upgrade recently. I completely forgot to mention that the Retro 9000 upgrade that was really recent. And that's why you are seeing this kind of uptick of institutions adopting L1s. Basically, for anyone who's unaware, is that before this upgrade, to build your own L1, and before that, everyone referenced it as subnets. Subnets and L1s are the same thing, but we just kind of shifted the names to L1s. You had to validate the main network, which is a big compliance issue. It's against compliance. If you're a government, you're not allowed to validate the public chain. So why would a government want to validate the public chain, pay 2,000 AVAX a month to just spin up their own L1? So the importance of that update was, okay, now you can have your own L1 and you do not have to validate the main network anymore. So yeah, that's just a quick refresher on why you're seeing this recently. It's not just the Trump administration. It's a lot of new software developments that have come into play to make this possible. But yeah, to come answer your original question is that while I can't really talk about those specifics, it's that definitely what you're seeing on the news is very real. It's happening every day. Something new is coming out because the government is in talks with all of these blockchain platforms, and when we all want to make sure that we're aligned, like we said earlier, that we're ready for any major change, any major bill to be signed, whatever it is. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Chris.
Exciting.
Oh, go ahead, Ray. Sorry.
Oh no, just exciting information, exciting times. Thankful for Chris to join us on this wonderful conversation. Back over to you, Abs. I'm just excited.
There's a lot to be excited about. And Chris, if I could ask you a couple of questions on, I guess, like a personal level, for anybody who just joined the spaces, can you remind people what you do, how long you've been working in blockchain, and maybe like what drew you to AVAX? Why do you work at AVAX and not at maybe a different blockchain company or product?
Yeah, of course. Love to give a recap. So I've been building, actually got into Avalanche in 2021, got involved in some early DeFi protocols when it was simple, right? When it was as easy as staking for a nice juicy 10 to 15% yield. Nowadays, you have like 37 protocols that you got to keep track of. It's a mess for a new user coming into an ecosystem. Um, Hopefully, I'm working with some AI projects to kind of make that a little bit more simpler for a user who's coming onto Avalanche to kind of use an agent, a guardrailed agent that only operates within limits within certain smart contracts. Kind of going off track here, but yeah, kind of got into DeFi, got into some NFT projects back during the NFT craze, trying to make utility with NFTs. There was some real projects back then, but as we said earlier, that the utility it's not quite there yet in the whole crypto space. I'm very bullish on projects that are making use of utility, right? Um, all these tokens are not investments. Sorry, these tokens that are built by these applications are not investments. They should be utility. You shouldn't hold these alt tokens. You should be spending them. You should be using them. You should be benefiting from them, however it may be. So definitely got into that space early. More traditionally, I come from a cloud computing background, worked in IT using Azure, did some AI implementation with AWS, GCP, OCI. So very tech heavy. Just naturally love talking to people. So business development really comes natural. And I also wanted to mention that I get a lot of people who ask me, oh, hey Chris, how do you get into BD? If I wanted to do BD for a project in an ecosystem, how can I get into this? You definitely want to be aware of the community. You want to see what people are asking for, what they need, whether it's technical, whether it's a little bit more open. But yeah, my day kind of revolves around being on the front lines with teams building or exploring Avalanche. My calls involve early stage teams looking for support, and even very very big teams. Don't want to be too specific right now, but like competitors with Stripe, right? Trying to have a Stripe like payments protocol, using crypto. What if a user wants to pay for their, for example, Netflix subscription using crypto? Why is that not an option yet? Why can't we do that yet? Work with those kinds of projects. Lots of internal collaboration, right? We're a big team. Got to kind of be on top of things, kind of know where to move things around. Doing due diligence. Just keeping a pulse on the ecosystem. It's very important. Something new comes out every day. Making sure people are educated. Yeah.
Great insights. And just for the record, Chris, this is a safe place. So if you want to spill any beans, share any deep insights that aren't available anywhere in the Twitter sphere, by all means, right here with Merlin is the place you can do it. So if you got any other pressing partnerships that are worth sharing, by all means, the stage is yours. But before we we do have 5 more minutes left of this space. Do want to give you guys just an update. This is a great conversation. So back over to you, Abs.
Thank you, Ray and Chris. I want to give a big thank you to you for joining us tonight and like sharing a lot of these ideas, because even for me personally, I'm excited, guys. I got to admit, I'm excited about the XRPL. I'm excited about Chainlink. I'm excited about AVAX. And Chris, the reason I say those other blockchains is because I've been in this space since really late December of 2019, got heavily into it after COVID in 2020. And the number one shift that I've seen is that people are talking about business solutions, right? We went from a speculation environment, people talking about price targets and hopium. Now we're looking at the biggest companies on the planet starting to leverage this technology. So I see opportunity all over the place, and it's been great kind of talking to you and getting that real background knowledge. Now, if I could ask you another personal question about being a developer, what are some of the biggest hurdles right now? Johnny kind of talked about it earlier. We're pre-regulation. I know we only have a couple of minutes here, but if you could talk about that, what are some of the things that maybe are keeping you from expanding your business model, or what are you waiting for as a developer?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the biggest pain point I see for developers per se is how can I fit my product into the broader ecosystem, right? I'm getting a lot of infrastructure leads. Everyone wants to tap into infrastructure right now. They want to be the next what is it, the next API that's used in every crypto app. So I think the development per se is not the issue. It's how can I fit my application to the broader ecosystem. That's the biggest pain point I've been seeing. That's where a lot of teams are kind of struggling with. The ones who don't struggle with that are the ones who usually succeed. Usually they are more robust in a sense where they kind of offer all of the layers, whether it's, the data layer, the execution layer, infrastructure layer, smart contract layer, whatever it is. So definitely putting yourself out there, letting people know, reaching out to, people like you guys that, hey, we exist, we're here, we'll be more than happy to work with you. This is how we can benefit you, because it's not, you don't want to invest in a product per se and what the product does. You want to invest in the team. You want to invest in who they are, what they can bring to the table. I think that's most important, and I think that's a pain point that people don't realize. But once they do realize it, it's a little bit more smoother sailing. So I really do encourage everyone to always reach out. Don't be afraid. We're here to help. Yeah, and also I want to give a quick shout out as well to our summit that's coming up in 2 weeks. So if you just go to avalanchesummitlondon.com, learn about that. If you're in Europe, if you're somewhere over there, please reach out. I'd love to kind of point you. It's awesome. It's not. Don't think of it like a conference. Think of it like a festival. Um, you're gonna meet amazing people. There's gonna be music, food, hackathon, everything. It's honestly like people are bringing their families. It's not like the Dubai conference, where it's packed. It's a good time. So definitely reach out if you have any questions about that.
That is beautiful and on point. This is not just a decentralized movement, but it is a decentralized family. Chris, you hit it spot on. What a great chat. Thank you so much, Crypto Family. Before we wrap up this incredible space, I've got to give massive props to our brilliant speakers who drop knowledge bombs all evening long. Abs, Chris, Gons, Johnny, D for all the above. Thank you all for sharing your wisdom, expertise, and thought-provoking conversations that fueled the discussion even further. If you haven't already, smash that follow button for Merlin and everyone else up on stage. Merlin is your trusted application that offers one secure one web app for all your wallets and exchanges, smart exit strategies so you never miss the perfect selling moment, and also fresh features dropping regularly. Like, check out in the comments below. We just put a message about our application on Google in the Google App Store, so be sure to check it out. Catch Merlin across all major socials. Right here on X, it's at Get Merlin Crypto. On Instagram, it's at Merlin_crypto. Of course, we're on LinkedIn, keeping it professional always, or dive straight onto the website at merlincrypto.com. And let's close this space down with Merlin's catchy tune. Thanks for being part of the Merlin family. Until next time, keep tracking smart with Merlin. And if you haven't yet, don't forget your first 30 days are free, so sign up today. All righty, family, let me play this magical tune and close things out a bit.
Thank you, Chris. And Chris, last
Thank you
remark here.
guys.
Johnny Crypto, maybe we tap Chris for Merlin. Little AI AVAX improvements on the Merlin app. What do you think? Big thank you to Chris, guys. And Chris, I just followed you. Massive thank you. Hopefully we'll stay in touch. Have a great night, guys.
Of course.
Let's definitely stay in touch, Chris. I love what you're doing. Keep plugging away, and let's keep talking. Love to partner with you, Merlin.
Absolutely. Let's talk. Thank you.
Owe you some a beef rib over at Heritage Barbecue, Chris. So let me know when you're down in
I,
SoCal in the South Orange County
I'll
area.
text you
Alrighty?
as soon as I'm on my way.
It better be in the next 48 hours because
Oh
I'm
man,
hungry, sir.
it might just be.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for
Thank you,
joining
man. I
us.
really
And
appreciate it.
really
This was
great.
really nice. Thank you.
Good. Fist pump. Happy hump day. It's a good day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.